What's up, metalheads? Welcome back to another episode of Full Metal 5. This one comes with a little bit of sad tidings, as I'm very positive all you know. This week we lost a literal giant in the world of comics, the world of writings, the world of creativity, in the passing of the Stan Lees. The man was he's revolutionary. He was an auteur. He was one of the most important figures in the realm of making comic books. He meant a lot to a lot of people. He meant a lot to me. He created a bunch of characters that I grew to love and I grew to really relate to. His passing was a shock because I didn't think Stan Lee could die. It was shocking. It was saddening, and I want to do something to commemorate the man's legacy. And so, what was Stan Lee mostly known for? He was known for his cameos. The dude was a master at it. And so, we are going to do tonight the top 5 best Stan Lee cameos. And with me, I have a great panel to discuss it with. First up, he was here last week, and he's back again for more. It is Robert Parker. Robert, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, this is my first time doing back-to-back Full Metal 5s in months. In a very, very long time since the inception of the show. So I am very, very glad to be back, and this is a topic I'm passionate about. I'm going to be the one with the kooky picks here from bad movies, but with good cameos, so I'm ready for this.
You might not be the only one.
So you're going to be the Ryan Permison of this episode?
Yep, you know it. Only I'll actually vote in ways that make sense.
Rockadoodle, number 1. Next to him, you already heard his voice. He is no stranger to this show. You know how much he's a fan of it. You know him. You probably don't love him, but you do know him. It is Henry Sanchez. Henry, how you doing?
Who doesn't love me? What are you talking about? Let's just with a mustache like this, how do you not love me? And I don't want to hear you over there, Mr. Stand-up comedian Robert Parker. So funny guy. He's a funny guy.
Not sure if it's online yet, but if it is, go check it out.
But it might be soon.
It should be. Okay. Let's put it that way.
If it's ever up, go check out Robert Parker's set. It's funny stuff. Funny guy.
There's your plug. You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Next person on the panel, you may recognize him as that movie guy, not this movie guy. That movie guy, Matt Beer. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I got to check out that stand-up you're doing, Robert. See if you're a John Roca or if you're a little bit above him, But
just don't talk about just don't talk about your dick.
Yeah, let's not talk dick shites. But it's a sad episode.
We're trying to make light of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad, but we're gonna make it fun, I think.
All right. And the last person on the panel is his first time on the show, and I'm so happy to have him on. It is Jim Mason. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Chance. Thanks so much for including me in the Full Metal 5 here. I can't tell you how much Stan meant to me in my life, being a former comic shop owner. And, I can't wait to get into Stan's awesome and sometimes awesomely, quote-unquote, interesting cameos.
Well, yeah, no, I'm always happy to have a new face on the show. So the way this works for those of you who are new, what we do is we curate a top 5 list right here, live for you. What we do is we go in 3 different selection processes. The first one is the nominations period. We're each going to go around and nominate a different Stan Lee cameo. Now, it has to be a cameo in a theatrically released film. The only criteria we have on this show has to be theatrically released. Now, we're going to keep nominating cameos until we get to a top 7. In order for a movie to get to a top 7, or a cameo, I should say, to get to a top 7, has to get 3/5 majority vote. And also, there could be some potential spoilerage going on here, but come on. You've seen all these movies, so we're not even going to worry about it. So I'm going to go first. Stanley was known for his cameos in various Marvel properties. But the first one I'm going to go with is a cameo. It's not from a Marvel movie. It's not even from a comic book movie. I'm going with his cameo in Mallrats. Let me set the scene for you. The main character, Banky. I think it's Banky. No, Brody. I'm sorry. Brody, played by Jason Lee. Walking around the mall. He's sad. He's admiring something. And then out of nowhere, in comes a strange old man. Oh my God, it's Stan Lee. He's trying to talk to Brody about just life and love, but all Brody wants to do is talk about the logistics of superheroes having sex. It's a hilarious scene, probably maybe the first Stan Lee cameo, at least from a theatrical release film, because he did do he had some of like the Hulk movies on which TV, but those don't count.
He did
It's a great scene. He was used wonderfully in this movie. I think this is definitely one of his better cameos, and I think it should make top 7. So we're gonna go to, I think, the biggest Kevin Smith fan on this panel. I'm gonna go to Henry first.
Yes, because I've seen more than one. See, this one's tough because I was just going with comic book related ones, but I did watch this clip just to refresh it in preparation for this, and it is funny. Because he's just like talking to him. He's like, "Wait, and he's like, Stanley, nice to meet you." It's just like, that's just so charismatic with him as a person, and I think that just shows that he's more than just a comic book creator. So I think adding that to the list would actually give him some depth as a person and not just the guy of comic books. So I'll say yeah.
All right, so that is one yes for Mallrats. I'm gonna go to Robert next. Robert, Mallrats.
Yeah, again, I also only had comic book related movies on my list. But again, like similarly to Henry, I did watch this clip in preparation. And yeah, I agree. The charisma that Stan showed in this scene is not just one of a guy who wrote a bunch of Spider-Man comics. It is very much of a pop culture icon. So I think its inclusion on this list is actually a really, really good shout. So I'm going to say yes as well.
All right, so Mallrats is the first cameo to make our top 7. Robert, Matt, your votes didn't count this time around. So what would you guys say? Matt, what would you say about Mallrats?
Yeah, I would have voted it in for sure. It was actually on my list too. But it was around the 7-8 range. But yeah, it's a hilarious scene. Seeing Jason Lee's reaction is priceless in the scene, and Stan Lee's great. And I think it was the first theatrically released cameo that he did. But yeah, I would definitely put it on.
And Jim, what would you say?
I was really debating about whether putting this on my list or not, because I couldn't determine if this was a cameo or if he was actually a supporting actor in just a single scene in this film, because he had substantial dialogue with Brody in this film. Now,
True.
If that's the case, though, if we're still calling it the cameo, then I'll call it the greatest of all cameos right there, because Stan had the ability to act in this film. Those were not his words. Those were Kevin Smith's words. And he really conveyed not just that Stan Lee bravado, but he also conveyed some real compassion to Brody in a time when he was kind of down on his luck and down on himself. So I love the choice. So I would have said yes if it came to me first.
Boom.
All right, so yeah, would have been a clean sweep. I'm going back to you, Jim, for your first nomination.
Okay, so for my first nomination, I'm just going to get out of the way of my poster here. Not in the first volume of Guardians of the Galaxy, but in the second volume of Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's listed under IMDb as the Watcher's informant, where as the crew of the Milano are zip-zapping through hyperspace or superspace or whatever the hell they call it, they come by Stan Lee and a group of 3 giant Watchers, and there's Stan in the spacesuit with this 50s retro-style clear bubble helmet going, well, then I got out of the delivery van and did X, Y, and Z. I gave him the package, and I can't believe he did that, and where we as fans got a taste of Stan being not just the person who has chronicled the events in the Marvel comics or created these characters that were later adapted to film, but that Stan Lee, through all of his appearances, was the eyes and ears of us, the audience, inside those films. So it went kind of meta there as well, and really honoring Stan's place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as being somebody who had seen everything and known everything and had really breathed it in. And I just got the biggest kick out of watching that cameo, I think, of all the other Marvel or MCU films that I'd seen up until that point.
All right, so Guardians of the Galaxy, well, strong case for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm going to go first, and yeah, I'm giving this a yes because of everything you just said. And also, like, I think that scene was done as like a fun little, like jab at the fans because like it had been theorized for a long time that, Stanley popping up in all these Marvel movies because what if he's secretly Uatu the Watcher?
Right.
And yeah, they worked that theory into the actual movies. So yeah, I think it was a very clever, Easter egg for fans to put in there. And yeah, on top of that, I think it's just a fun scene. So I definitely give this a yes. Going to Matt.
Yeah, I'll put it in there too. Like you said, with the whole theory of him being the Watcher and then to see that on screen, it gives you a big, just like a good kick. It gives you a lot of happy emotions in the movie. It's a funny scene. And then there's that last post-credit scene where they all just leave him there alone. He's like, wait, you guys were my ride. So, yeah, there's a lot of humor in there. It kind of steps its foot into that theory where he's the Watcher. So, yeah. I'll put it in there.
All right. So that is it for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That makes the top 7. Henry, Robert, your votes didn't count. So, Henry, what did you say about Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
See, it's not a personal favorite one of mine, but I had it on the 7 on my list. So I was debating if I wanted to go yes or no because of the Mallright's inclusion, because that wasn't on the list. But I was convinced that, all personal aside, that it's still a really good one. So I would have said yeah.
And Robert, what would you have said?
I actually would have said no on this one. I really do appreciate.
I was close.
Yeah, I really, really do like that they sort of delved into the theory just a little bit, and it is a funny scene. But personally, I think there are much funnier. I think there's at least 10 more that, in my opinion, are more funny, and a little not necessarily as meta, but more entertaining of cameos. So I do really like this one. Obviously, I mean, there's not really Stanley cameos I don't like. But I just, for ones that I would have wanted on there instead, I would have said no.
Hey, do me a favor. Tilt your camera up real quick. Yeah. The guards are looking at you in shame.
There's the other one. I don't know if you can see it over there over the sink.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of.
Oh, yeah.
How can a man who has 2 different Guardian sets in his kitchen deny his but Robert, you get to vote something you would let on the list because it's your nomination.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do I want to do first? That's the question. I'm gonna go for an out there pick. I'm gonna go for one of my personal favorites where Stan doesn't even say his own line. Instead, it's spoken by Michael Pena in Ant-Man. Towards the end of Ant-Man, Michael Pena, his character Luis, is going on one of his crazy rants where he just over-explains everything. He's talking about his cousin Ignacio, who's on this date with this super fine writer chick. And Stanley's only line is, yeah, crazy, stupid, fine. Talking about this lady that Luis's cousin is on a date with. And he's playing the bartender, and just because of how quickly, because I remember watching in theaters Ant-Man, watching the entire movie and being like, Stanley wasn't in there, and then they go into the last rambling scene, and then just for 1 second on screen, one line that isn't even spoken by him, just the look on his face when he says, "Yeah, crazy, stupid, fun." I love it so much. This is just a personal favorite of mine, so. I know it's a little bit of an out there pick, but I'm putting up Ant-Man.
All right, so wow, not the first. Actually, this is one I think would come up, and I didn't think would come up in first round, but it is Ant-Man. Crazy, stupid, fine. Jim, is this cameo crazy, stupid, fine, or does it not make the list?
You know what? I made this list that I'd whacked down to 5 myself, and so, I collected just off the top of my head probably about 15, 16 of his different cameos. Ant-Man did not come up on that, but the minute that Robert picked that up, I was like, bing, there we go. Because there's the piece of Stanley mouthing the words "crazy, stupid, fine," but there's, which I think is fantastic. But then there's the other piece of it, which is which producer and/or did Peyton Reed have to go to Stan and say, "Okay, Stan, I need you to look into the camera and say crazy, stupid, fine, but we're not going to use your voice. We're going to use Michael Pena's voice, and this is why." I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall of that conversation.
So is that a yes from you?
That's a yes. That's a yes. Great pick.
All right, so that's one no for. Sorry, one yes for Ant-Man. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
One yes for Ant-Man.
Definitely. 2 thumbs up.
Henry, your vote didn't count last time. What do you say about Ant-Man?
This one's tough. I'm going no, just because the reason that it's funny is because it's part of Michael Pena's whole thing, and it just happens to have Stan Lee. And there's other ones where Stan Lee, he's the one who makes it funny. So I'm going no, and it's not because this is bad. It's not because this is funny, but because there's other ones that Stan Lee owns more that I feel like are a little more deserving for this particular list. So.
All right, yeah, and I echo what Henry said. I think the cameo is definitely funny, especially with you bringing up that line, because like as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, that was really good. But yeah, I think he has better cameos that are funny because of him, not necessarily because of Michael Pena, which is the reason that whole bit works. So yeah, I'm leaning towards no. I'm gonna make it up to Matt. Matt, does the Ant-Man cameo make top 7?
All right, it's up to me. What a scary sight to see. So I wrote about, after thinking of some more even before we started, I have 15 cameos that I think could fit in that list, and Ant-Man doesn't even make the 15 to me. Especially since we can only have 5 more, I feel like there's 5 other cameos in different movies that are either unexpected or funnier, or they're just, I guess, overall better in a sense, because like Henry said, it's part of that flashback or whatever you want to call it, with Michael Pena kind of describing what everybody said. So I think because of that, and just because I can think of a couple funnier and more unexpected cameos, I'm gonna have to say no.
All right, so Ant-Man gets shut down. So Matt, we go back to you for your first nomination.
All right, I'm going to go with the unexpected one, and this could be considered a spoiler, especially if you haven't seen the movie. I'm sure all of you guys have heard of this movie, but when his cameo happens, it's a shock. It's not live action, it's animated. I'm going to throw an animated one out there, and that's Teen Titans Go to the Movies, where they're at the Warner Brothers studio lot, and you're seeing everything there, and then you just see somebody kind of walking by, and the camera pans back, and it's Stan Lee. And he's like, "Hey, it's me, Stanley," and he does this little funny thing, and then you see a producer go up to him and say, "This isn't a Marvel, or this is not a Marvel movie, it's a DC movie." He's like, "What?" Goes away, and then comes back at the very end, says, "I love cameos, I don't care if it's DC." So because of the unexpected thing watching that movie and how funny it is, even animated, I'm going to throw that in there.
All right, so Teen Titans Go to the Movies is up for top 7. Robert, what would you say to this one?
I'm actually going to use the same argument that Matt used last round. That while this is definitely a funny one, I think there are more. We only have 5 left. Like, this is going to fill up really, really quickly. And I think this one isn't super memorable. Like, if you look at a lot of his others, even from the early Marvel movies, from other MCU movies, there are others that are much more memorable and be like, man, that is an excellent Stan Lee cameo. And I don't think people really think that when you see the Teen Titans one. So while it is one that I enjoy and obviously is funny, there's a lot that I enjoy in that. There's a lot that are funny, but I don't think this is really on the tier that is really breakout, standout cameos. So I'm going to have to say no on this one.
It's 1 no for Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I'm going to go to Jim.
Yeah. I'm going to have to recuse myself from this vote because I didn't see the movie. I've already heard there was the cameo in it, so that part was already spoiled for me, so no big deal. But I can't vote for it because I didn't see it. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to me next, and I think had it come back to me, I would have thrown this one in there for next because, yeah, not only this is first cameo in a DC film, which I never thought, nobody ever thought would happen. But it's also him making fun of the fact that he does cameo in a lot of stuff and how like sometimes it's not always super. It's not always like super. What's what I'm looking for? It's not always super subtle. Is what I'm trying to say. He goes like he's chewing so much scenery throughout. He's animatedly chewing so much scenery. It is really funny, and I think a given time it will be one of his most memorable. So, I'll say yes to this one, and I will leave it up to Henry to break the tie.
So I've seen a lot of movies this year, and this was not one of them. So that's
I
awkward.
didn't think so.
That's awkward. That's awkward.
You're the Ryan permissive this time.
I'm not ashamed.
Well,
I didn't see Teen Titans Go.
It's not
good.
that bad. It's not that bad.
Not that bad, actually.
Pretty entertaining.
Still not ashamed.
But
I hear the Justice
Well,
League is better in that film than it was in its own film. So
yeah,
Sure.
Justice League. Yeah, that's like a way better DC movie than most of the movies in the DCEU, and that is very sad.
That is accurate.
So, yeah, that is it. Teen Titans Go does not make top 7. Means I'll go to Henry to finish out this. Segment.
So the one that's funniest for me, and probably a part of the best scene out of all of his cameos, that I think that that I enjoy watching, and that's in Age of Ultron when Thor is doing his drink, and he's trying to ease everybody into it. He's talking about how take it easy, guys, like. You guys are mere mortals. You guys can't handle it. And then Stanley, I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's pretty much shut up and give me a
Blondie.
Yeah. and then it cuts right to hilarious, because it's like there's not much that's asked for him. He just literally just needs to be a drunk guy, but it's just like the editing of it, the whole scene is great. Like, people don't like Age of Ultron, that's fine. I like it more than most people, but that whole scene alone, like I think it's 20 total minutes probably, just of everything going on. That just is the icing on the cake, because it's just hilarious, and it just shows that there's more to this movie and this universe than just action. So I thought this was really funny, and this is my favorite out of all of them. So now that since we're already getting some ones on there that I wasn't even considering, let's just throw it out there so I don't even risk it.
All right, so Avengers: Age of Ultron is up for top 7. So I'm going to go to Matt first.
When I said there was 15 when we were talking about Ant-Man and how Ant-Man didn't make it, this was in my top 7. So I'm definitely going to put it in there. Like Henry said, it's hilarious. I think he said he's from Normandy or whatever. They survived Normandy.
Yeah, he says something like, you ever stormed the beaches of Normandy?
And then, of course, he's drunk and he's just like, Excelsior. It's a funny scene. It fit perfectly in the movie, I believe. I think that's probably the best way to put his cameo in the movie while not making it too, noticeable, I guess, if that makes sense. Kind of like how some other movies are, where he's just there. He at least, adds to that 20-minute scene. So, yeah, I would put it in there.
All right. So it's one vote to put it in there. I'm going to go to Jim.
Ooh, pressure. I'm a little split on that, because I did enjoy Age of Ultron. I think I enjoyed other Stan Lee cameos maybe slightly better. But that being said, I think Ultron is a movie that's gotten better over time. I think it just did not land right because it was so soon after the first Avengers movie, which to me is still arguably the best superhero movie out there. But you know what? I something about storming the beach in Normandy, I'm going to say yes on this one. I mean, Stan delivered in a movie that was a difficult shoot, so I'm saying yes.
All right, so that closes it. Avengers: Age of Ultron makes top 7. Robert, you had to get votes. So, Robert, what would you have said?
I absolutely would have said yes. The quote that he says, Thor is like, this was aged for 1,000 years in the barrels from the wreck of Grunhild's fleet. It's not meant for mere mortals. And Stan Lee just goes, well, neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie. So it gives him just a little splash, and then instantly cuts him being carried away.
And that's a good transition to the end of the scene, too. And yeah.
Absolutely, yes. This is not one of the ones where it's like, it's Stanley, wink, wink, it's a Stanley cameo. Get it? You get it? It's a Stanley cameo. Like, this is much
his
more
own character, yeah.
Yeah, this is much more character-based. This is much more subtle. And I really, really enjoy this one. Absolutely, yes.
All right, so
I'll buy that for
had
$1.
it come to me, I think I would have given it a yes too. I think this cameo is. I think it's very funny. I think, it's probably my favorite. Like Stan Lee's like one-liners, and also, you get his catchphrase in there. So yeah, it's great. I would have given it top 7. Now it's come back to me. When Robert brought up Ant-Man, he gave a non-speaking Stan Lee cameo, which I think could get on the list if you pick the right one. And because the one I'm picking next is from The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I get it. The Amazing Spider-Man is nobody's favorite Marvel movie except Paul Yama for some reason. But the thing, the cameo in this is very funny. Stanley plays a librarian who he's doing his job to listen to his operatic music on his headphones. While all this giant carnage is going around behind him, Spider-Man's fighting the lizard. He's always getting hit with like books and chairs, and he doesn't notice anything. And just like the way it's staged, just the non-reactivity of Stan Lee in this scene, I just think really just sells that moment. It's probably my favorite moment of the entire film, which I'll admit I like it more. I like it more than most. But yeah, I think it's definitely one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos. I think it should make top 7. So I'm going to go to Henry first.
This one's tough. I had this right under The Watchers, and that made it, and Mallrats made it, which I wasn't accounting for. So technically this was number 8 on my list, so it wasn't even in my top 7, and you're adding another one. So I'm going to go no, not because I didn't like it. Like these are a lot of good ones, and it's really getting down to the wire now. Like, now we're getting to the heavy hitters. So I'm going to go no, just because he does have a lot of lines that he's able to use. And there's one that I actually like that he doesn't say any words more. So I at least, if we're going to go that route, I want to go with that one. So I'm going no, but this is a good scene.
All right. So that's 1 no. I'm going to go to Robert.
I'm also going to have to go no on this one. This is one of those that's just a little bit too winky, trying to be sly in your face for me personally. I still really like it. You're absolutely right. That is entertaining to see, like, Spider-Man save him from, like, a giant desk being thrown at him and stuff like that. It's definitely good entertainment. He's used well in the scene. It's just a little bit too, like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of a thing. I think he's used better in a couple other movies, and since we don't have that many more to get on, this wasn't in my top 10, so I gotta go no.
All right, so that's 2 no's. Okay, getting a little nervous. Matt.
I'm actually surprised that we're even at this point. It's my second favorite cameo that he's done, actually.
Wow.
I mean, just in the scene. I mean, I like the movie actually a lot. I don't love the movie, but like it's not obviously. Nah, I don't know about that, but I mean, it's about middle of the road of Spider-Man movies, but that scene, when it happens, just with the humor, it fits the fight perfectly. It doesn't make the scene that, the cameos in feel, I guess, any different. It still has its same flow while adding the humor in it and, all that. So, yeah, I'll give it a yes. I love this cameo.
All right, which means, Jim, this comes down to you. Amazing Spider-Man doesn't make top 7.
Don't screw this up, newbie.
No one told me this was going to happen to me today. This is probably the toughest choice I've had to make in at least 3 weeks. It was a great cameo. Yes. But for me, it absolutely was. In fact, it reminded me of kind of like a Three Stooges episode in a way. For an older guy like me, I have an appreciation for that kind of screwball humor. But I have to ask, in the movie that it was in, did it support the film overall? And to me, tonally, The Amazing Spider-Man was all over the place. It's probably my least favorite superhero movie. Apologies to anybody who loves that movie. We all like different things. I thought it was a steaming hot pile of dumpster fire trash.
I like you.
Damn. That's what Robert thinks of the sequel.
Yeah. And then the sequel.
2 is actually better than the first one.
Well, I wouldn't know because I haven't seen it. So
I mean, I'm not mad at you.
as much as I love Stan and I appreciate the cameo, I can't call this one of the great Stan cameos because it just didn't do anything for me for the film other than give me a moment where I go, okay, finally something decent in this film.
Boom,
So,
roasted. I like this guy.
I'm gonna have to say no, man. I'm sorry.
I like the cut of your jib. But all right, Amazing Spider-Man does not make top 7. Jim, can we go back to you for your next nomination?
So when we brought up Stanley animated earlier, I thought we were going to get a completely different Stanley cameo. So I'm just going to go right into it and say Stanley's cameo at the end of I think it was the mid-credits tag for Big Hero 6.
End credits.
It was the end credits, excuse me.
Oh, that's tough.
It was it's I've got a couple interesting choices on my list, but some of them are more, romantic. I don't know the right word. Nostalgic, I think, is the better term for it. But this scene where Stan, again, sort of like in Mallrats, it wasn't just a Stan scene of Stan being there, just kind of doing gag lines or something like that. Stan had to do some acting and, voice acting, from what I know of it. I used to do some radio back in the day. I've never done VOs per se. But from what I know of VO from people that I know, it's a whole different style of acting. I mean, you still need to know process and whatnot, but Stan lent something to that scene. Yes, Big Hero 6 was a very, very loose adaptation of a Marvel anime-inspired comic from the early 2000s. And really, did not really compare to what they did in the film. And I thought the film was majestic. I thought it was fun. But I thought, getting back to Stan's cameo, Stan had the ability to act. And I think Stan would have loved being an actor earlier in life. And I think this was the first performance of his besides Mallrats, where I said, yeah, Stan could have been a great character actor. And I really enjoyed that scene with Fred and what Fred discovers at that. I mean, who better to reveal that he was a superhero other than Stan Lee? So I'm nominating him for Big Hero 6.
All right, so Big Hero 6 is up for the top 7. I'm going to go first, and it's a tough one. I think it has enough moxie to make it. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, like Fred, like the T.J. Miller's character, Fred, has an obsession with superheroes. And, at the end of the movie, he's looking at his dad's. He finds his dad, who used to be a superhero, he finds his lair. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole bit in the movie about how he can wear the same pair of underwear for 4 days. And he's like, I go front, back, turn them inside out, go front and back. Stan Lee gets in there, and they do that same mantra together. Right. And like, we got a lot to talk about. So, I think, yeah, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I mean, Stan Lee having to do a voice acting role, he does inject a lot of his own personality into that without even having to physically be on screen. So, yeah, I'll give him that. So I'll give him a yes. Going to Matt.
All right. Well, this is not very hard for me to decide. I made my list, obviously, like I said.
Here we go.
And it didn't make the list. I mean, the scene's fine. It's funny, kind of, but I mean, when you look at all the cameos that he did, I put it in his bottom 5 personally for me if I had to choose.
No heart.
It's not bad, it's not bad. I enjoy it, but it doesn't really, do anything for me compared to, 10 or more cameos. So yeah, I'll have to pass.
Okay, so that's 1 no, 1 yes, gonna go to Henry.
See, this is one where I'm just gonna be selfish and just say, I want to go more superheroes for these, and that's just not the one that I would think of. And I don't think I'm as Stan Lee, so I'm going to be a little more selfish on this one because there's at least 2 that are funny and 2 that I think have some heart. So I'm like different types of heart, that I relate to. I didn't really relate with that, so I'm going to go no. I do like it though.
Right. Robert, you're breaking this tie. So,
Yeah,
what do you say?
if there wasn't a joke about nasty underwear, I would say yes, but there's a joke about there's like a really disgusting joke about like underwear, and it's it just isn't something that I gravitate towards. So
That's the reason.
what?
I actually relate to the underwear more than the rest of the scene because I do that.
Um,
All I'm going to say is I remember being in college once. So
Exactly.
leave it there.
but no, I am gonna have to go no on this one. Although I do enjoy that the reveal that he is related with this character. I think that's really, really, really clever. I just don't like the joke that they go for.
All right, fair enough. So that the Big Hero 6 does not make top 7. Robert, your next nomination.
Speaking of heart, and speaking of Spider-Man movies, and speaking of bad Spider-Man movies that have
My
good
man.
cameos, we're going Spider-Man 3. We're going the scene. This is the like most.
This is a good movie,
scene.
by the way.
Like GIF, whatever you want to call it. After Stan's death, this is the one I've seen the most out of any of his cameos. It's him after Peter has given up the mantle of Spider-Man and has gone full emo. He is looking up at a billboard or a picture of Spider-Man, and Stan walks up next to him and just goes, I guess one person can make a difference. And I think that is very reminiscent of what Stan has done for nerd culture throughout his career. So as far as heart, as far as a great cameo in a bad movie, I got to go Spider-Man 3.
It's a good movie.
All right, so Spider-Man 3 is up for top 7. I'm going to go to Jim first.
Wow. I have to kind of follow through with the logic that I gave with the Amazing Spider-Man. But that being said, I also want to counter that with saying that what does a good cameo do? And the good cameo supports the film. And a good cameo supports the film being better. And while I didn't like Spider-Man 3, I didn't hate Spider-Man 3. And there were things about that movie I liked, where if you took the whole Venom piece out of it and made it more about Thomas Hayden Church being the Sandman, it would have been, I think it could have been a much more robust film, giving that character more time. Likewise, maybe taking out a musical number could have helped as well. Yeah, so that being said, I'm really flummoxed, but I'll tell you what, if I'm on the line, where I work, we have a saying, always assume positive intent. So I'm going to go 51% and say yes for Stanley on Spider-Man 3.
My man.
I think this is the first use of the word flummoxed on Full Metal 5.
Oh, well. I'll get my thesaurus out and bring out some other words.
All right. Going to MediaX now. I think it's an unpopular opinion. I don't know. I can't tell. I think Spider-Man 3 is the worst Spider-Man film ever made. I dislike it infinitely more than Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I regret everything I've ever done for you, Chance.
I know.
The worst? That's an abomination.
But here's the thing. It is a great cameo.
I will Gwen Stacy you at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 if you keep this up.
Yeah.
You're gonna pour the right the end of the sequel.
Snap.
No, I'll show you.
Exactly. Snap his head.
But I think it's a great cameo. I think it's a really good, little wink to wink to the fans, wink to the ideals of the heroes he created. So I'll give it a yes. So I believe that means Spider-Man 3 makes top 7 because Jim said yes.
Yep.
All right, so Spider-Man makes top 7. Henry, Matt, you guys didn't get votes. What would you have said, Henry?
Hell yeah. So actually, it's actually really funny. So I had a different one that was strictly comedic, and I swapped it. So I had on my list, this was number 6 originally, and I swapped it with my number 5. So this just barely made it, just because I think the funnier ones are funnier, and I'm a comedic type of guy, so I like the funnier ones. But this one is, the best heart moment, so I went with this one as my number 5. So hell yeah.
All right, and Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, Matt. What would you say?
Yeah, and with or without this cameo, I actually think the movie is a pretty decent movie, just with a couple of really bad mistakes in the movie. If you cut out Venom, I think this could have been up there with the first Spider-Man movie. But I believe actually when the cameo takes place is before he gets the symbiote or whatever,
Yeah,
because
that's what Robert said.
he's looking at the digital sign or whatever. It says he's receiving a key to the city because he saved Gwen Stacy. And then Stan Lee pops up. But yeah, I mean, it's not funny, but it has an important message, I think, that anybody can take away. It's heartfelt, and I think it reminded him of, anybody can do whatever, So yeah, I would have put it in. It's a wholesome,
All right.
wholesome
So
cameo.
Matt, your next nomination.
All right, and I'm
I'll
going
fuck
to say
this
this
up.
because I'm scared nobody's going to bring it up, maybe because they forgot it or not. It's actually my favorite cameo. I'm surprised it came up yet. It's Deadpool. The reason why I say this, for one, he's probably going to show up in the movie, but they don't say for sure. I mean, obviously he's going to show up in MCU movies, but with Fox, you never quite know because he wasn't in all the X-Men movies. I don't think he was even in a Wolverine movie.
Yeah, he was in all that.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't in X2.
Oh, he wasn't in Days of Future Past or First Class. That's true.
Yeah, he wasn't in
X3.
X2 either.
Oh, he's in
Yeah,
X3.
he was in X3.
Definitely in X3.
Yeah, poor guy.
But so it was it was never.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but if nobody watches X3, was he really?
Yeah.
really
No, the problem is
Yeah.
people did watch
Make
it.
a noise. If nobody watched the movie, was Stanley?
Yeah, but no, anyway, but you didn't know if he was going to show up in the movie, but the fact that he was at the strip club and he was announcing the dancers and all that, the strippers, in that scene, it's hilarious, and it's also Stan Lee's favorite cameo. He was interviewed, he was asked, "What's your favorite?" and he said Deadpool was.
I wonder why.
I mean, I would love it too, but it's the scene itself. It doesn't add anything to the story, but I mean, most of the cameos really don't do that anyway. I think it's the funniest. It's, as far as Marvel goes, maybe the more shocking cameo that he would do, because he was probably 90 in that movie. So
he was 92 when he filmed that.
92-year-old man working at a strip club doing that. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say Deadpool.
Pop a blue pill and party.
Jeez. So Deadpool is up for top 7. Gonna go to Robert first.
Yeah. Of the ones that I have left, I'm gonna say yes. This is definitely one of them, probably the most comedic one. And again, this isn't one where it's like, oh, it's Stan Lee, you get it, it's a Stan Lee cameo. It feels more organic within the way the movie works, and it definitely fits the character of Deadpool to have Stan Lee in this atmosphere. So I'm definitely gonna say yes.
All right, and gonna go to Jim.
So this was my number 5 on my list because everybody expects Stan Lee to be the kindly grandpa or the befuddled old guy or the guy who doesn't know what's going on. See, I used befuddled, so
That's the first use of that word too.
there you go. But the fact that Stan did a cameo for an R-rated movie, number 1. Number 2, he was the strip club DJ, dressed as a complete scumbag in that. And then number 3, that it turned out to be Stan's favorite cameo. I mean, all of those would check the yes box for me alone. But then again, there's the other thing is that, yeah, the cameo shouldn't be the most important thing of any scene, but it lifted up the scene a little bit. It buoyed it a little bit. It gave the audience a pop. It gave the film a pop to have him in there, especially with all those 3 previous check boxes. So absolutely, yes.
All right, so that settles it. Deadpool makes top 7. If I got a vote, I would definitely go to you. I love that line, just like, you can't buy love, but you can rent it for however much it costs. Yeah, I thought that was it's one of my favorite Stan Lee. Just like was one of my favorite lines of his. So yeah, I think it was great. I thought it was funny, and I definitely would have put it on the list. Henry, what would you have said?
So what I said with the last one, this was the one that I switched with Spider-Man 3. So I probably would have said no by the slimmest. So I took it off at the last minute just because I have ones that I like more. But this is hilarious. This is probably the funniest, like objectively speaking. But I wouldn't say it's my favorite. So it was up there. But this one would have been tough to say no to.
All right. Well, Henry, we're back to you.
How many more do we have to put on?
Two spots.
2 spots left. Jeez.
And I have 3 left in my top 5. So I'm really struggling here. So there's one that is probably like the best cameo. There's one that probably supplements the movie the most, and there's one that I've literally laughed out loud after hearing it. So, because me being the funny guy, I'm going to go with the one that I laughed out loud, and that is in Civil War, right after everything that went down. Knock, knock, knock. I got a package for a Tony Stank. Like, that is hilarious. Like, I was dying. Like, you thought Mad Fine was funny. This Tony Stank was hilarious, especially after everything that just went after what happened. Could you imagine that being at the end of Infinity War? People might actually like that movie more because they went out, on a brighter note instead of, a dreary note. So I feel like that really helped the tone for the overall feel of the movie, and it left you with a good taste in your mouth and laughed out loud. Like hearing Stan Lee say stank is hilarious. So that's what I'm throwing out.
He just shows up on Titan in the UPS truck. All right, so
anybody want a donut?
Had that been a thing in Civil War, not Civil War, had that been Infinity War, that definitely got on the list. But anyways, that's Civil War is on the table. Gonna go to Matt.
Yeah, this is in my top 5 for sure. Like you said, it's a funny scene, especially when all that stuff happens, like just Iron Man, Captain America duking it out. It's sad, you don't feel happy. I feel like that's like, if let's say you need to get a shot, for whatever reason, maybe your arm is not really working, so you need to get a shot, or that, or, you need to do a line of Coke, this would be that scene, it adds to the movie. It gives you what you need. It brings some joy even after some pretty heavy stuff. So yeah, this would make it.
There's that word heavy again. Why are things so heavy in the future?
All right, so
Americans are getting larger every year. I think that's why.
One, it's going to go to Robert.
I know I'm going to be outvoted, but I am of the unpopular opinion of the people who does not love this cameo.
I remember you saying that now.
I don't know why. Like, Henry and I have talked about this cameo, actually. Like, I don't know why I don't love this one.
You don't say stank.
Yeah, I don't say stank. I just don't gravitate to this one. There's one other from a different MCU movie that I find personally laugh out loud hilarious, that if we get to me again, I'll bring it up. But there's a different laugh out loud hilarious one that I'd rather go with. This isn't in my top 10. I know it's going to make it anyways, so props to it. It's fun. It's just not one that I personally connect with at all.
So it's clear. It's clear Robert is pro UPS.
Yeah.
I think it was the FedEx driver.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he's pro UPS, because he hates FedEx.
Okay, yeah.
Way to ruin the joke, Chance.
My bad, sorry.
Show.
Oh, you say for show, but not stank? God damn it.
So going to Jim next.
Well, I'm more of a post office guy, so
you send letters via owl.
Yeah, that's
carrier pigeons.
Don't cross the streams.
That's what I say to my buddy after a night of drinking.
God knows where that will lead you.
Exactly. Don't even risk it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Civil War, was what show have we not tuned into where they didn't call it Avengers 2.5? And it was that, and it was an ensemble movie more than I get the part where it was a Captain America movie, but really it was an ensemble movie. And because of that, you got to have a greater sense of balance of tone when you have so many different players. And, what was it? 9, 10, 11 different main characters in that film. So that's a lot of motivation to balance. And, here we are, we're through that scene, and eventually in the third act, all the characters go into a funnel to eventually where we see Iron Man, Cap, and Winter Soldier. And then in the end, we see in the epilogue portion of the third act, we see Iron Man or Tony Stark with Rhodey, helping him rehab. And, for those who are old enough, I mean, we've been constantly in a state of war since 2001. And how many of those scenes have we seen in real life, whether a documentary or another film or whatnot, or a veteran who's paralyzed is rehabbing, and it was getting kind of dark. And man, God bless the Russos for their comedy chops, because they knew that moment needed something to punch it up. They needed that moment to not be some debilitating war commentary. And they did the right thing by putting in who else to deliver that? Deliver?
It's a fire-ass panel.
I'll be here for about another 20 minutes. But seriously, who else to deliver that than Stan Lee? So I got to give it a yes.
All right, so Stan Lee, that makes top 7, and surprisingly, I'm in the same boat as Robert. I actually would have given this one a no. I mean, it's funny. I just didn't find it that funny. So, nevertheless, it makes top 7. Means there's one more spot left.
Oh my gosh!
Taco Bell is really glad there's only one spot left.
That's a line Harry Sanchez just said. I'm gonna go to me first, and this is tough. So many I could pick, but
there's objectively 2 that should be on here, so I'm really curious.
What was that?
There's objectively 2 that should be on here, so I'm really curious what we're gonna do.
Well, we're definitely not gonna bring. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna bring either of those up because, maybe they will if this one gets shot down. Because the one I'm gonna go with next, I'm going back to the MCU. I'm going back to a film from last year. It's my favorite Stan Lee cameo from a movie last year, and it's from Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it's probably one of my favorite Stan Lee just one-liners, because like what's happening is they're in the middle of a car chase and they shrink Stan Lee's car, and the line he just says, "Well, the '60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it." Which it's just a classic. It's a play off of his own persona, because everyone knows the dude most likely did a lot of acid in the '60s to create a lot of different characters and artwork.
Would have lived in '95, do acid.
He did. But I just love that line because it's such a play on his own persona and his own past. So I think that's probably his best Ant-Man cameo. So that's my nomination, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm gonna go to Henry.
Yeah, just like the movie. It's just like it's over the head, just forgettable. In one year out the other. I even forgot this happened. I can't even picture it in my mind that, what we're talking about. So it's just not even one I even thought about rewatching. I was like, ooh, that Ant-Man and the Wasp one, that might make it. Didn't even think about it. So I seen it, don't remember it. Even you explaining it, I'm like, I don't remember. So very forgettable. I'm sorry, bud. No.
All right. Robert.
When you said last year, I thought you were going to go with the one that I actually think should be on there. Ant-Man and the Wasp came out
this year.
What did I say last year? Oh, fuck.
Even more forgettable. You didn't even know what year came in.
I forgot what year it was.
Yeah.
What year is this?
I got really excited for a minute, and then I got really not excited anymore.
That one's not good either, Robert, by the way.
You don't know what I'm talking. There's more than one MCU from 2017.
It's not that one.
I did not. I did see Ant-Man and the Wasp more times than most people did. So I did remember it. But I do think it's a great one-liner. But Stan has better one-liners in the MCU, so I'm gonna have to say no on this one.
All right, and gonna go to Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say no on this as well. I like the cameo. It's a funny, line of dialogue that he says, but I feel like there's at least 2 or 3 more that could be put on ahead of it that haven't been mentioned yet. This was actually kind of towards the bottom of my list, so yeah, I'm gonna say no.
All right, so that settles that Ant-Man and the Wasp does not make top 7. I didn't want to throw that because it was a personal pick for me.
That's why it's called
Jim,
honorable
what did you
mention
say?
chance.
That's like Ant-Man was for me. It's just I wanted to throw the shot, throw the Hail Mary, see if we land.
Yeah, for myself, I probably would have said no also. I mean, it's one of those 51-49 decisions for me because, again, it was an enjoyable beat for an overly, that was for something that was for the most part an enjoyable film, but it beyond that, it just didn't make my top 7 so for myself. So yeah, I would have gone no.
All right, so Jim, your next nomination.
Oh boy, I
Don't
got
screw
2
this up.
on my list.
You've been doing good with me so far.
Well, I think I'm about to go into some pretty sour territory right now, but I made mention earlier about being pretty nostalgic and being a former comic shop owner. I have a lot of love in my heart for anybody who has put the blood, sweat, and tears into publishing their own comic. It's its own art form, and Stan did it from 1941. Took a break to go to World War II, came back, and then did it till 1972. So this is a guy who spent most of his life making comics, making funny books. So I will admit that this film is atrocious, but I'm going to 2005 and the original Fantastic Four movie. Because, just hear me out here.
I can see where you're going.
Yeah, it's more than just for a movie. If it's just for a movie, I'd sooner throw it in a trash can. But the fact that the man who created the Fantastic Four, and in doing so, changed an entire art form forever with his creation of the Fantastic Four. Again, that meta level that I was talking about in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 raises the game of that film in that scene where he played Mailman Willie Lumpkin, which, if you youngins didn't know, was a newspaper comic strip from 1959 to 1962 that he co-wrote with Dan DiCarlo. So, to bring that character into comics after the strip was canceled, but to keep the continuity of what happened in the comic strip, I could go on for hours about the mailman to the Fantastic Four. The bottom line to me is that level of love that was shown to the creator of the comic, I have to nominate this film just for what I do, for where I come from. So,
all right, so Fantastic Four is up for top 7. I'm gonna go first, and I'm giving this one a yes, just because of everything you just said, and the fact that he got to play a character who was he was a major part of the Fantastic Four lore, so which is a good thing. It was a good thing for fans because Lord knows there was nothing else good for Fantastic Four fans than the Fantastic Four movie. So they may not have had a good movie, but they got that one little detail all right. So, not all right. They got that one detail good, but yeah, I like this one enough. I'll give it a yes, and probably because it's the only chance a Fantastic Four movie has to make best anything. So I'm gonna go to Henry.
See, when he was explaining, I knew this is where he was going. I'm going no because I don't share the same affinity you have for the moment and everything. But I definitely respect why you would nominate it and why it would be on your personal list. It's it's the same thing like with film. It's subjective. There's some that are objectively wrong, like the Amazing Spider-Man 1 being a good movie. But I mean, other than that, like there's I can understand why you would say this. So I'm gonna go no. And this isn't even on a selfish reason where it's like I have 2 other ones. This is just not one that I would say. There's probably about 10 other ones that I would say above this one, but I definitely respect you picking this. So if it made it, I wouldn't be mad at all.
Okay,
going to Matt.
Well, a little. I do.
Yeah, I'm also going to say no. I just feel like there's at least 3-4 cameos that I think should be on the list more. Like, I love comics. I understand, seeing him in that role, in the Fantastic Four since he created that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's very nice. It's wholesome. But I don't think it's a top 7 cameo per se. So, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
All right, it means Roberts, come down to you. The deciding vote. Fantastic Four, does it make top 7?
I love that this comes down to me because I'm absolutely saying yes.
Fuck.
I'm definitely saying yes. This was a cameo before he was before he was degraded to just like cheesy one-liners in the MCU and being mistaken for different actors in the Iron Man movies. Before he was yelling "Did it work?" out of his window in Thor, he was playing real characters that had real weight. And I am absolutely going to say yes. I do prefer his cameo in Rise of the Silver Surfer more than the first Fantastic Four at the wedding, but I am going to say yes. So we have our 7.
All right, so yeah, we do have our 7.
Wow.
Before I go into that, I want to allow some time to go into some honorable mentions. So I'm going to go to Henry first. I know he had something he really wanted to bring up.
All right, so the two ones that I wanted to say that should objectively made the list was the very first one that arguably should be number 1, and that's in the first Iron Man. Just a quick, Hugh Hefner throw line where it's like that's just hilarious because that just kind of shows the personalities at a party where you see somebody look famous, you're just going with it, or people like, hey, I'm famous, and people just buy it. So that's hilarious. And then I'm starting to come on this movie a little bit more because I'm just stop being a dick. But in Winter Soldier, man, I'm so getting fired. And I just think that's just, it actually adds to the plot because Captain America had to get his new suit and stuff. And I thought that was really interesting. So that was the one I was talking about where it actually adds to the plot. And it's funny where it's like so getting fired. He's just emphasized like I'm screwed or I'm so screwed, whatever he said. It was hilarious. So those are the two that I think should have been on there real quick. The other ones, where's it at? Hulk and Stan Lee, or Lou Ferrigno and Stan Lee. And Hulk.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Just seeing those guys together, and it's just like, hey, there's a bright side of this movie.
Ones right there.
Yeah. And then also in the same year, Daredevil, when young Matt Murdock saves him from crossing the street. Yep. I think that's awesome. Yep. So
pivotal.
Man, 2003 was a shitty year for Marvel.
It was a great year for cameos.
Oh yeah. They definitely got the screenplay right because Matt in the comics did save an old man, causing him to go blind. So who else?
Jim, any other cameos you want to throw out before we continue?
Yeah, again, I'm just a nostalgia and history buff on top of being a comics fan and nerd of all colors. So I got to give it to Captain America, the first Avenger, him playing the doddering old general. Again, just
thought he'd be taller.
Doddering. That's my third. It's a hat trick tonight, guys.
Ping, ping, pong.
Scoreboard.
Of $15 words for you, but where he plays the old general, but. Again, this is a guy who created Captain America in 1940. He made this character with Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, and the same thing. He was a witness to his own character's birth in the film, and I just would have loved it. I knew that suggesting it probably wouldn't have made the cut, but damn if I just didn't love seeing Stan in that film.
All right, and Matt, and then the cameos you want to throw in there?
Yeah, I mean. You guys mentioned a couple of them, like Hulk, of course. Daredevil was a pretty decent one. Fantastic Four, Rise of Silver Surfer at the wedding was another good one. Thor, and then also the first Spider-Man or Iron Man, and then the second Iron Man where he's recognized as Larry King. That one got a little laugh from me. And then I feel like I'm forgetting one. Damn it. Yeah, Winter Soldier, Thor, like I said.
All right, John Roca, making a list.
And then Avengers as well. The first Avengers was it was a funny little one where he's like, Heroes in New York. That's crazy. And then The Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's what I was thinking. Where he's like, hey, I recognize that guy. When he's going to graduation. Yeah.
Robert, anything you want to bring up?
Yeah. So I am just going to repeat ones that have been brought up before. Winter Soldier, I am so fired. Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer as a wedding guest. Hulk, the homage with Lou Ferrigno. Daredevil, Murdoch stopping him from crossing the street. And the two that we didn't bring up that I was considering was Incredible Hulk, where he just takes the drink and goes, oh, and then just drops it. Like, that's a fun little thing. And then the other one would have been Thor Ragnarok, where he has to give Thor a haircut, and he goes, please, old man, please do not cut my hair. I really like that moment before the Contest of Champions. So those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, all right. Honorable mentions for me, Spider-Man Homecoming. I think the last MCU movie we haven't brought up is where he's like,
how's your mother?
From a window.
Marjorie, how's you?
Yeah. X-Men Apocalypse, the only Marvel movie where he gets a cameo with his wife Joan.
Yeah, true.
This wouldn't have counted, but he has a really funny cameo in No Good Deed, Deadpool short film that aired before Logan.
Get out of here, Stan Lee.
Dip it, Stanley.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And some unconventional ones that I never would have brought up, but they're just like really weird to bring up. He has a very surprising cameo on Princess Diaries 2. Like it's very strange. Like
right.
there's a wedding and Stan Lee just shows up.
Gee,
And also I would bring up Jay and Silent Bob super groovy cartoon movie where it comes to talk about the Avengers Initiative. So that's a fun one. And yeah, quick recap. Our top 7 so far is Mallrats, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, Spider-Man 3, Deadpool, Captain America Civil War, and Fantastic Four. Really good list, good crop of cameos. Hard part is now we have to cut 2 of these. This is the antithesis of round 1. What we got to do is we are now going to go around and nominate different. We're going to nominate different ones to get knocked off, and 3/5 majority vote get knocked off the list. So I think it's the first time in a while that everyone's had something make the list. So I think I'm going to go with. I'll let Henry get the first cut.
Just because it's, oh my God, this is rough. So because this one doesn't have any sort of meaning or add anything to the story, and if you took it out, the movie would be fine. This would be a good just clip on YouTube. I'm going to go with the Deadpool one.
All right. Deadpool. I believe Matt put that on. Matt, Deadpool to the stay or does it go?
I would say it stays. I just love it. It's the funniest out of all of them. It adds to the scene. Maybe not more than the others, but it does everything I think a cameo should do. So,
yeah. All right, I'm gonna go to me next, and actually, forget that. I'm gonna go to Jim next. Jim, Deadpool is stay or does it go?
Deadpool has to stay. It has to.
Can it stay or can it go now?
It's
all right, and Roberts.
Yeah, it's probably the most memorable Stan Lee cameo of all time for most people, including myself. So it's got to stay.
All right, and so that sells it. Deadpool is locked into top 5. I'm gonna go. I also would have said it should have stayed. And if we're using the criteria of doesn't have any bearing on the plot, then pretty much all of these except 1 can go.
I had to come up with a reason to say no, so I was hoping you wouldn't fact check me.
I didn't have to fact check you. I just know that. I'm gonna go next because the one I want to kick off, I think it's the least funny out of all of these. I'm gonna go with Captain America: Civil War. I mean, Tony Stank, it's a good joke. I just think all of these other ones are on a different level. I think. So I think Henry put this on. So Henry, does Captain America: Civil War stay or does it go?
See, I got to be stubborn on this one. It's staying.
Okay. Robert, I know you're on my side.
Yeah, it's got to go.
You got to go.
Going to. I'm going to go to Matt next.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it stays.
Oh man.
Means we go to Jim. He's the tiebreaker again.
God damn.
Captain America: Civil War. Stairs to go.
And after I gave that impassioned reasoning for why it should be there, I gotta say, in comparison to the other films on the list, it has to go. I'm sorry.
All right, Captain America: Civil War is off the top 7.
And I thought I liked it.
Which means Jim, I'm not going to make you, vote again, then let you get the next cuts.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? Let's get it out of the way, kids. Let's go to the Fantastic Four, shall we?
Good choice.
Wow, knocking off one that I think you put on.
Yeah.
I think so.
Wow, very, very, very rare occurrence on Full Metal 5. So
Hey, you got to own it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Robert gave it a yes. I'm gonna go to you first.
And I'm going to agree with Jim. Definitely worth being brought up. Definitely worth being in the top 7, but I don't think it's top 5. So I do think it has to go.
Henry?
Yep.
All right. Well, that good enough. That settles it. We have our top 5. Matt, what would you have said?
Yeah, I would have said no. It was my 7 on the list for sure.
Probably would have had it. I probably would have had it stay 2, but either way, we have our top 5. Our top 5 is Mallrats, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Spider-Man 3, and Deadpool. Great crop of cameos. So now what we've come to is the rankings portion of the show. A spot on the list is going to be up for voting. We're all going to write down on our whiteboards, paper, whatever we have, what movie we believe deserves to go in that spot. So if you will all write down, we're going to go 5, 4, 3, and then the number 1 spot. So you all write down what you think should be in the number 5 spot.
Yeah.
All right, so just number 5?
For now, yeah.
Just number 5.
Okay, I was wondering.
All right,
sure.
Matt actually not knowing the rules. Can I get multiple choice in round 3? No, you cannot. You've had like 8 matches. No.
Just checking. It's been a while.
And don't grab it from the pegs.
From the wheel, not the pegs.
Right. That's why I spin my own wheel, right, Chance? Hey.
All right.
I was buying Jim time to get back.
Your fucking wheel.
Thank you. Had to find a marker.
You've never got a chance to play the new wheel, and you're missing out. So you should retire.
I played the wheel in your old league.
Yeah, but not the new wheel. It's 3 spins now.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's only been like 12 matches of the new format, so clearly you haven't watched any. We're not friends anymore.
No, I watched you, man. I didn't know.
Did.
Oh.
I thought you meant. I didn't know you were talking about the format. I thought you were talking about the actual wheel. But
Okay.
all right, it looks like we're all ready. I'm gonna go first. I have Deadpool. Gonna go to Roberts.
Mallrats.
Ooh, Matt.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I have nothing prepared if we all have the same one. Jim.
Spider-Man 3.
Crap. Henry.
Mallrats.
Ooh.
Whoa! Mallrats at number 5.
He didn't create Mallrats, so.
All right, so now we go to the number 4. The number 4 movie on the list.
Don't you love when people start changing their answers from the previous one? I'm like, what thought process did you take with that? You're like, I guess with the Mallrats is the one where it's like, well, if it's not number 5, it could have it argued to be like 1 or 2. So I get that one's okay, but normally it's like that makes no sense. So a spoiler alert, you guys should not be writing right now because you already wrote it down.
All right. Looks like we're already going to go to Henry first.
The one that I didn't even think should have been on the top 5 at all, Deadpool.
And yeah, you put Mallrat, and you put Mallrats.
Because of the relation. I don't want to hear it.
Jim.
I rewrote it for clarity. Spider-Man 3.
All right,
You literally did rewrite it.
Matt.
I literally rewrote it.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
See, you guys are smart
Roberts.
people.
Guardians.
Ooh.
And I have Deadpool. So, Jim, I'm sorry. You got to do it again. You got to break this tie.
Oh,
Is it
God.
going to be Guardians 2 or is it going to be Deadpool?
It's going to be
Be good.
Deadpool.
Deadpool is number 4. And now if you write down what should go in the number 3 spot on the list.
Matt, you scribbled really loudly.
I know. It's for a
I know.
fact.
Did you add that in post?
Yeah.
Fix it first. All right.
I had to
I'm
make
going to go
adjustments.
first. I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Roberts, I believe you didn't change.
Still Guardians.
Roberts, I'm sorry, Matt.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Matt's pissed because he wanted that to be 5.
He's screaming.
Yeah.
That it says Jim.
Just to really put home the point, Spider-Man 3.
Stop crossing it out.
Or
And
don't.
Henry, not that it
I've
matters
got
what
lots
you
of
have.
paper.
Got G Vol 2.
All right. So now, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is number 3, which means we now get to vote on the number 1 cameo on the list.
I'm actually really
This is going
happy
to be
right now.
interesting.
Me too, Henry. Me too.
I am. Finally, something good happens to me.
The moment when I actually write something different.
Yeah, we set it up so you can, get you on your toes, see if you've been paying attention.
Thank you.
That's how we roll, Full Metal 5.
All right,
Can I
looks
go
like
first?
We're already... Yes, you can go first, Henry.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I guess one man can drink that drink. Excelsior!
So you're saying Spider-Man 3.
No, I'll kill you. Age of
Say, I
Ultron.
never heard of Excelsior.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, what's that movie? Where is that in the top 5?
I don't know, Schmodown. You
Go
tell
to
me.
Jim.
Excelsior, true believers. Avengers Age of Ultron.
All right. Matt.
All right. It's Avengers Age of Ultron for number 1.
Robert.
Avengers, roughly 1 week of Ultron.
Wow, I guess we're all on the same page. I also had Avengers Age of Ultron.
Because we're all puppets. Ultron's got us like this.
All right, so the top 5 list is number 5, Mallrats. Number 4, Deadpool. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 2, Spider-Man 3. And the number 1 best Stan Lee cameo of all time, Avengers Age of Ultron. I genuinely did not see that coming. I thought Mallrats was in the
Were you quoting Quicksilver on that, Chance?
What was that?
Didn't see that coming?
Were you quoting Quicksilver?
Not intentionally. Not intentionally.
You didn't see that coming?
Either way. I want to thank my panel. I want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank my crew from Level 5 for letting me continue to do the show. Thank you for watching. Stan Lee, rest in peace. You left behind an amazing legacy that we'll all appreciate for years to come.
Goddamn.
And we will see you next time.